to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into something special. A source text that, looks like a story about a legendary cooking quest.
Right. The search for the Holy Grail, classic stuff on the surface.
Exactly. But when you dig a little deeper, it's just this brilliant look at team dynamics, leadership, especially flawed leadership, and, well, the whole sociology of having a shared purpose.
We're talking about Act Two, the Fellowship Stands Their Ground, mostly from the Holy Grail Review. And we've got these fantastic narrative excerpts, plus, crucially, the post-credits commentary.
Which is gold. So, our mission today is to treat this story, these characters, these symbolic moments, as well as data points.
Yeah, data points for understanding how a group functions or maybe doesn't function under serious pressure.
And Act Two is where it really shifts, doesn't it? It moves away from just let's find the shiny object, the Holy Grail, and zooms right in on the people, the relationships between the questers.
Totally. And what's really crucial here, I think, is how Act Two subtly redefines what winning even means for them. It stops being just about grabbing the artifact.
And becomes about what? Preserving the group.
Exactly, preserving the internal integrity, the bond within the fellowship. So our big takeaway, the thing guiding this whole deep dive, is that this story, it's less about barbecue trophies,
Right.
and way more about the existential reality of the team itself. They are fundamentally brothers in smoke. That's the core insight.
Brothers in smoke. I like that. Okay, let's dive in. Section 1. The fellowship regroups and the geometry of the group. Where do we find them?
Oh, the setting is just dripping with meaning. They're in the fields of burnt offerings.
Oof. Doesn't sound promising.
Not exactly. It's literally a landscape scarred by past failures, mistakes, burnt briskets of yesteryear, maybe. And there's this huge storm brewing overhead.
And this is right after that scrape with the three-headed knight, which was apparently a very close call.
Super close. So the environment itself, these fields of burnt offerings, it's like a psychological stage. They are surrounded literally by the ghosts of missed opportunities, things gone wrong. It sets this fragile tone right away.
And in this really vulnerable spot, the leader has to step up and rally everyone. But the text is, well, it's pretty honest about the cost of that leadership, isn't it?
Very honest. We're talking about Sir Uncle Dave, a publisher. He's got the charisma. Sure, he started this whole quest.
Sure.
But the text makes a point of showing us the damage. His armor's dented, his beard is singed.
Nice detail.
Yeah. And his leadership ability. It's described with this brilliant phrase, intact-ish.
Intact-ish. I love that. It's so real.
It is. It acknowledges the leadership in a crisis. It's rarely perfect. It's usually messy, compensatory. And right away, Uncle Dave does something really symbolic, something that reshapes his role and maybe the quest itself.
What's that?
He starts sharpening his spatula, but the text says he sharpens it like Excalibur.
Okay, wow. Let's pause on that image. Because Excalibur, that's pure vertical power, right? Divine right, authority, military strength. A sword solves problems with force.
Precisely. Top-down power. Unquestionable. But a spatula?
It's horizontal power. It's a tool for cooking, for process, for flipping things skillfully.
Exactly. It's about domestic competence, disciplined craft, managing a process. So by swapping the iconic sword for a spatula, the story is basically shouting at us. This isn't about traditional heroism or rank.
It's about utility, about doing the job, the day-to-day task.
Yes. Uncle Dave's heroism isn't about slaying monsters anymore. It's defined by his commitment to the operation, to the grill, his operational commitment, not his fighting skills.
So success isn't measured in enemies defeated, but maybe in burger flipping excellence.
Kind of. It grounds this epic quest in something surprisingly practical, almost, dare I say, mundane.
Which is fascinating. But that kind of leadership, the intact-ish visionary with a spatula, it only works if the team is solid, right?
Absolutely essential. Uncle Dave is the flawed visionary, which means the fellowship itself has to be this like perfectly calibrated support structure built on loyalty and, as the text says, that constant hint of smoke.
Okay, let's slow down and introduce these knights properly because their roles, they're not just friends hanging out. They define the whole architecture of the group. This is key for, for tracking how they operate.
Couldn't agree more. When you look at these four knights coming back together, you see it's not just a posse. It's an organism designed almost to compensate for the leader's weaknesses.
Okay, first up, Sir Pablo of Pittsburgh, the unbreakable. Described as granite-like, doesn't say much. Pure steadfastness.
Pablo is the foundation, the psychological bedrock. He just absorbs the chaos. The sources kind of hint that during that whole three-headed knight fiasco, while Uncle Dave was performing his tactical withdrawal.
We'll get back to that tactical withdrawal.
Oh, we will. But while Dave was gone, Pablo just planted his feet, became the wall. He's the guy who makes sure that even if the leader wobbles, the core operation doesn't just collapse. Think of him as like the COO. Systems stay online because of Pablo.
Got it. The immovable object. Next, the brains. Sir Moses of Bullyshire, the mind. Inventor, planner, the barbecue science guy.
Moses is their strategist. He's the one with the maps, the theories, the logic, absolutely vital for navigating the quest. But the test also notes he's restless.
What does that imply?
Well, it's often the curse of the pure intellectual, right? Maybe a bit of rigidity. He's essential for planning the route, but maybe he trusts the map a little too much and forgets to look at the actual ground they're walking on.
Interesting. Okay, then there's the heart. Sir Winston of Winstonia, the faithful heart. Always optimistic, tail held high.
Winston's job is basically emotional regulation for the group. He's the buffer. When things get rough and the leader is, intact-ish, you need someone like Winston to stop everyone from just giving up or turning cynical. He keeps the why of the quest alive, even if the how is looking shaky.
The emotional anchor. And finally, the smallest knight, Sir Abraham of Hamelot, the morale officer. Keeps spirits high and snacks seasoned.
Don't underestimate the snacks. Abraham is the unsung hero of internal support. He handles the micro details that keep the team cohesive. The snacks, yes, the seasoning, the little comforts, checking in. He manages the team's energy levels, their well-being. Every team needs an Abraham focused purely on keeping the internal engine running smoothly.
So it's like a distributed leadership model. Uncle Dave has the vision, the spark, but the actual heavy lifting, the critical functions are handled by these specialists.
Exactly. And that fight with the three-headed knight you mentioned, it's the perfect case study.
How so?
Well, the text suggests Dave made the first move, got the knight's attention decisive, maybe a bit chaotic, but then his tactical withdrawal.
Right, he vanishes.
And instantly the leadership distributes. Pablo holds the line that's the steadfast operational defense. Moses starts analyzing attack patterns, that strategy, the mind at work. And Winston and Abraham, they're keeping communication flowing, maintaining morale, coordinating the defense that's the emotional and tactical glue.
So they didn't win because Uncle Dave was some perfect hero. They survived because his team, his specialists, were competent enough to run things themselves when he stepped away.
Precisely. The team's resilience is almost inversely proportional to the leader's perfection. You only need such a strong, specialized team because the leader isn't, and maybe can't be, perfect.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the team is established, flaws and all. Now we hit section 2, the Echoing Gorge and the test of flaw. This sounds intense.
It is. They enter the Echoing Gorge of Guilt, which is just a brilliant narrative trick. It's a place where travelers literally hear their deepest doubts and failures sung back at them.
Ouch. So this isn't an external monster, it's an internal one.
Purely internal. It strips away the armor, exposes the vulnerabilities. It forces the leader, especially, to confront the gap between his big talk, his vision, and, well, his actual track record.
And Uncle Dave, what's his big echoing failure? What crime haunts him in the gorge?
This is where it gets so good. It's not some epic betrayal, not losing a kingdom or anything. His loudest, most relentless echo, it just keeps repeating, "You forgot the tongs.
You forgot the tongs." That's it. We're on this massive quest, life and death stakes, and his deepest guilt is a barbecue utensil oversight.
Isn't it perfect? It just grounds the whole epic saga in this incredibly relatable, almost domestic anxiety. Why the tongs?
Yeah, why the tongs? What do they represent?
Well, think about it. Tongs are fundamental. They're about infrastructure, having the right tools. They're about precision, control, operational safety, not burning yourself.
Okay.
A visionary leader like Uncle Dave, they're often focused way up here on the big goal, find the Holy Grail. They prioritize the symbolic, remember the spatula as Excalibur, but they might neglect the essential, low-tech, boring but necessary stuff, like tongs.
So forgetting the tongs represents a failure of basic operational management.
Exactly. It suggests the visionary's biggest risk isn't some spectacular flameout. It's a systemic failure. It's neglecting the foundational bits. In the real world, big companies don't always collapse because of brilliant competitors. Sometimes it's because the CEO forgot the tongs, ignored basic maintenance, messed up the supply chain, didn't invest in the unglamorous but vital infrastructure.
Wow. So Uncle Dave's guilt is like the universal fear of the leader who dreams big but trips over the small stuff.
That's it precisely. The gorge turns a simple logistical mistake into this huge echoing existential crisis.
Yeah.
But then The fellowship steps up.
How do they save him from his own echoing failure?
Through this amazing act of unity, they start singing together. They raise their voices and drown out the echoes with their own song. And the tune, it's set to Brave Sir Robin.
Ah, that's brilliant. The Monty Python song about the knight who ran away.
The very same. They create this instant cultural artifact, this communal anthem that actually incorporates the leader's flaw. They sing, Brave Sir Uncle Dave ran away, bravely, bravely ran away. When danger reared its smoky head, he said, I'll check the girl instead.
Oh my gosh. It's affectionate, but it's brutal. Affection exasperation, maybe.
That's the perfect phrase for it. It is mockery, no doubt. But it's mockery wrapped in absolute loyalty. They're using humor to hold him accountable emotionally. It's like saying, yep, you messed up. We saw it, but it's okay. It's our joke now. You're still our guy.
It takes the sting out by owning it collectively.
Exactly. And the second verse is even more important, I think, because it clarifies their role in his absence. We fought the foe. We stood our ground while Uncle Dave was nowhere found. But brave was he in his own way for living to grill another day.
Okay, living to grill another day. The commentary mentions this idea that Uncle Dave's flight wasn't cowardice, but strategic management. Now, come on. Isn't that just putting a positive spin on him bailing while his team took the heat?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And the source material seems to argue, well, it's kind of both.
How can it be both?
Look, his initial move, almost certainly self-preservation. He ran. But the key is the fellowship's response. Their loyalty is so strong, they essentially choose to reframe his action. They retroactively make it strategic.
Yeah.
By stepping up and handling the immediate threat fighting the foe, standing their ground specifically so that he, the visionary leader, can survive and continue the overall quest later. Their actions give his flight strategic value after the fact.
So the real bravery in that moment belongs to the followers. They consciously decide to cover for him to make his running away work for the mission.
That's what the text implies. Their loyalty isn't passive, it's active. They demonstrate agency by turning a potential disaster, a leadership failure, into just a pause, a functional regrouping moment. They carried the load so the mission could go on.
So their standing firm wasn't just defense, it was mission support, logistics almost. Wow.
Yeah.
Their loyalty is literally what keeps the whole thing moving, fueled by the leader's own vulnerability.
You nailed it. If loyalty is the engine, the leader's flaws are the fuel. It forces the team to step up, to become more autonomous, more essential. Maybe true bravery in a team isn't always the leader charging ahead. Maybe sometimes it's the followers having the competence and commitment to hold the line when the leader needs to step back.
That really shifts the perspective. Okay, so they survived the gorge, they've got their unity song, but the pressure isn't off yet, is it? We move into section 3, nightfall, symbolism, and the strategic onion.
Right. The adrenaline wears off. Night falls, they gather by the fire. The narrator sets this mood of quiet determination, but it's in these quiet moments that the individual tensions, the little frictions within the team structure start to show.
Like what?
Well, we see Moses, the brilliant planner of the mind.
Yeah.
He's meticulously adjusting the holy map, making sure it's perfect, except he's holding it upside down.
Oh, Moses.
Classic, isn't it? It's so relatable, though. He's the strategist, obsessed with the theory, the geometry, the map itself, so focused on the concept of the map that he misses the blindingly obvious practical detail, its orientation.
It's the weakness of pure theory without practical grounding.
Exactly. His mind is always racing, looking for efficiency. But sometimes he misses the simple, is it plugged in? Kind of check. That restlessness can overlook the basics.
But while the mind is fumbling, the heart is holding things together. We see Winston, the faithful heart, nuzzling Abraham, the morale officer.
Yeah, and the text notes Winston silently communicates, we're still together, little brother.
Ah.
The quiet moment. That's high-level team maintenance right there. It's nonverbal confirmation. The core bond, the fellowship itself, is still the main priority. Forget the map, forget the leader's earlier freak out, we are still intact. Sometimes the best support isn't a grand speech, it's just presence. Quiet reassurance.
But Moses is still stewing, isn't he? He represents that tension between getting the job done efficiently and all this messy heroism stuff.
He does. He mutters something like, we could have been halfway there by now if not for all this valor.
Ha! The efficiency expert complaining about heroism.
It makes sense from his perspective. These heroic trials, the gorge, the night, they're inefficient. They cost time, energy, resources. Moses, the project manager, sees all this valor as just slowing down progress towards the objective, the Holy Grail.
But the story seems to be saying the opposite.
Exactly. The narrative is showing us that this inefficiency, the trials, the vulnerability, even the mocking song that's the crucible, that's what's forging the bond, the trust, the resilience they absolutely need to survive what's coming next. Without the wasted time on valor, they wouldn't actually be strong enough as a unit.
Okay, so into this mix of quiet bonding and strategic frustration, the leader returns. So Uncle Dave reappears. He was separated after the gorge.
Seems so. And he comes back bearing, well, not spoils of war.
What does he bring?
The text says he returns with only confidence, soot, and a small onion.
An onion. That's it. After all that, confidence, soot, and an onion.
Talk about anticlimax, right? You expect him to come back with, I don't know, the knight's helmet, a magic potion, something. He brings a root vegetable.
The commentary apparently went wild over this onion, the strategic onion, the emotional onion, layers of leadership. What's the deal? What does the onion mean?
It's loaded with symbolism, I think. On one level, it's about humility, it's mundane, it's basic. It's Uncle Dave admitting, maybe non-verbally, that this epic quest still relies on fundamental ingredients, practical stuff.
Okay, humility. What else?
Layers. Onions have layers, right? It suggests complexity. Maybe leadership isn't simple heroism. It's multi-layered, involving different aspects, maybe even difficult ones. And, onions make you cry when you chop them.
Huh. True. So leadership is complex, maybe a bit painful to deal with sometimes.
Could be. It suggests leadership requires substance, depth, those foundational layers. He's not returning with a flashy trophy, but with something representing necessary complexity and maybe the potential for tears along the way. It's an admission that greatness, like a great stew, needs those basic, sometimes difficult ingredients.
So he brings back humility and complexity symbolized by an onion, and the team, they cheer him.
They do. They accept the confidence, the soot, and the onion. They're reaffirming their loyalty, even to this slightly baffling leader. And the scene ends, the camera pans out towards the Holy Grail, flickering in the distance.
Described as like a promise unfulfilled.
Perfect ending for Act 2, isn't it? It sets up the tension. The fellowship is internally solid now. They understand their dynamic. They face their flaws. They have their onion.
But the goal is still out there, still distant, still uncertain.
Exactly. They found their internal balance, but the external challenge remains. That flicker keeps the stakes high. They're ready, maybe, but the final test is still ahead.
Which brings us perfectly to section 4, reforged in spirit and the path to seasoning. They've regrouped, they've bonded. Where do they go next?
Their immediate path takes them towards a very specific challenge, confronting the monks of proper seasoning.
The monks of proper seasoning. Seriously.
Seriously. And they guard the sacred spatula. Or maybe the sacred spatula text is a little ambiguous, but the point is the seasoning.
Okay, this is another sharp thematic turn. The ultimate goal is the Holy Grail, this legendary artifact.
Oh.
But the next step is monks obsessed with salt and pepper.
It's brilliant, though. Think about it. The story is deliberately shifting focus away from the mythical end goal, the big vision,
the Holy Grail,
and onto a fundamental element of the craft itself, execution, process.
So why seasoning? Why is mastering that the necessary discipline now? What's the metaphor?
Seasoning is all about nuance, isn't it? It's the careful, subtle, disciplined touch that takes something basic and makes it extraordinary. Remember Uncle Dave's big failure? Forgetting the tongs, a failure of practical detail of execution.
Right.
So to move forward, the fellowship has to prove they've learned that lesson. They need to show they've moved beyond just grand vision or basic logistics and have mastered the subtle, critical disciplines of their core practice. This isn't just a fight, it's a test of their process mastery. Have they internalized the lessons of humility and detail?
It's like in business terms, they need to stop just talking about the billion-dollar idea, the Holy Grail product,
Exactly.
and actually prove they can nail the basics, the core competency, the proper seasoning of whatever it is they do.
Couldn't have said it better. Vision without competent execution is just talk. The monks are the gatekeepers of that competence. They force the fellowship to demonstrate that all those trials, all that bonding, actually resulted in tangible skill and discipline.
So the thematic conclusion of Act 2 makes sense then. Doesn't end with a big win or a crushing defeat. It ends with understanding.
Yeah. The understanding is eternal. They finally grasp who they are as a group, not just questers chasing an object, but defined by their shared experience, their shared reality.
Yeah.
They are brothers in smoke.
There it is again. That phrase really lands, doesn't it?
It does, because it's sensory. It ties the abstract idea of fellowship to the concrete reality of their work. The smoke, the heat, the flavor, the shared hardship, the smell that clings to them. Their bond isn't just theoretical, you can practically smell it.
Okay, let's pull in that post credits commentary again, especially about bravery. It reframes Uncle Dave's tactical withdrawal quite significantly.
It really does. The commentary basically says, look, bravery isn't about never running away, it's about knowing when to run toward the fire again.
Ah, so it redefines courage for a leader in a complex situation.
Totally. It suggests Dave's flight wasn't necessarily cowardice in the moment, but maybe strategic risk management. Preserve the leader, the core asset, so the mission can ultimately continue. The real courage, then, is the decision to re engage later, presumably having learned something like maybe remembering the tongs next time.
The courage is in the comeback, informed by the failure.
Precisely. And this ties into the final synthesis, the so what, of the whole group dynamic. How do these flawed individuals make a working team?
We saw Pablo's rock solid steadiness keeping things running, Moses's sharp mind providing strategy, even if he needs grounding.
Yep, the restless intellect.
Winston's unwavering faith managing the emotional ups and downs.
Essential heart.
And Abraham's quiet support, the courage that fits in a saddlebag, keeping the internal systems oiled.
Put them all together, and you have a team where managing flaws, compensating for each other, that's their strength. That's their competitive advantage.
And the leader's role.
Yeah.
It's not about being the best fighter anymore.
No, it's about being the primary risk assessor.
Yeah.
Stepping back, looking at the smoke, judging the situation, and deciding which fire, which risk is the right one to walk into next. And crucially, trusting the specialists to handle their parts.
It really lands that final line then. This whole story is about fellowship that just happens to smell delicious. The bond comes first, the barbecue is the context.
Exactly. The relationships are the core. The quest is the setting.
Okay, let's try and bring this all home. Let's unpack the big takeaways from Act 2.
That's good.
It feels like this act was a fundamental pivot. It shifted the whole narrative, didn't it? From chasing the prize, the holy grail, to focusing internally on the group itself, its integrity, its specialized roles, how it functions, warts and all.
Absolutely. We saw how loyalty, even that kind of affectionate mockery with the song, becomes the real engine driving them forward, and how managing flaws rather than pretending they don't exist is actually key to their survival and resilience.
And the symbolism. The small things became huge. The spatula replacing the sword, the tongs representing operational failure, and that amazing onion.
The strategic onion.
Yeah.
Symbolizing humility, complexity, the necessary layers beneath the surface of leadership. It anchors the whole epic quest in these really tangible, relatable details.
So they've faced their internal demons in the gorge. They've sort of reaffirmed their bonds, maybe understood their leader a bit better. And now the path ahead leads directly to proving their competence.
Right. Mastering the essentials. That's the test posed by the monks of proper seasoning. Can they apply the lessons learned? Can they execute with discipline and nuance?
We are definitely set up for that confrontation. It feels less like a battle now and more like an exam, a practical exam.
Exam and salt, smoke, redemption. That's what's coming. They need to prove they're worthy of the tools, worthy of the craft, before they can even think about the ultimate prize.
Okay, so as we wrap up our dive into Act 2, maybe a final thought for you listening, something to mull over.
Yeah, building on their journey. Think about your own big goals, your own quests, whether work or, personally. If the real key to success, like with the fellowship, isn't just hitting the target, but keeping your team, your relationships intact and functional, then how do those seemingly small, essential things, the proper seasoning of your craft, the humility symbolized by that onion, how do those become maybe more important than chasing grand, heroic gestures or immediate, flashy wins?
That's a really good question. Focusing on the process, the fundamentals, the relationships.
And maybe one more thing to consider. When you face your own moments of doubt, your own internal tests, what does your echoing gorge of guilt whisper back to you? Is it some huge catastrophic failure?
Or did you just forget the tongs?
Exactly. What are the small foundational things that really matter?
Lots to think about there. Keep your courage simmering, everyone, and we'll dive into that final confrontation with the monks next time.